Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the 60th anniversary of the James Bond movie franchise. Today is October the 5th, 2022. It was on today's date in 1962 that Dr. No was released. And it's all been great since, pretty much. So I did a video a couple of years ago on the channel doing a bit of a retrospective for the anniversary 2 years ago. So there's some stuff I'm not going to cover because it's kind of done elsewhere. But hopefully, if I can get the core to answer Skype, and if he's not working a week on Wednesday, he might be free tonight to talk about this as well. I've had a few of our viewers come up with some ideas of things to talk about, so I'm going to go through that now on camera. And like I say, we will just kind of get into things in terms of the James Bond movie franchise, 25 films, and let's do this.
I'm going to do a bit of an intro on this video and then we'll cut to this, including all this because I'm assuming it's recording now. So, yeah, basically, today's the 60th anniversary, like I was saying. We did a video, or I did a video a couple of years ago talking about the franchise. And so some stuff covered there. I don't want to get too much into it, but, but we've got some ideas of things to talk about here. We've got some ideas from Paul Cage and Stu Blencorn as well, and also Adam Earnshaw. They've come up with some ideas for some stuff to talk about, and I've wrote a list as well of a few little things. So one thing we were talking about, me and yourself, we've got the core here as well. Was the history of the videos, because obviously this is a big franchise. We'd owned various copies of this over the years. One of my memories of this growing up was having them on tape. And I remember I couldn't afford to buy all the movies. They re-released them around the time GoldenEye came out in the mid-90s. That was like 95. They were like remastered and packaged and stuff, and that was all the films up to License to Kill at the time. And the way that I acquired most of them was I had a friend who had them all, like either bought copies or most of them were just recorded off Sky onto videotape. And I had a Game Boy, and I swapped the Game Boy for all of his Bond films. So that's pretty much how I acquired the entire collection. Well, Buff. I think Buff managed to get them rather easily. I mean, I used to make a point of how easily it was in comparison for Buff to get them than it was for me. But then obviously the DVDs came out in the early 2000s, and then a few years later we had the 2-disc DVDs where they were remastered again, and then a few years later we had the Blu-rays. So I understand there will be some 4Ks coming pretty soon as well. I think Amazon have got them sort of streaming only for now because they haven't had a chance to put them on discs yet. You can get the Daniel Craig ones in 4K, but not the prior ones up till 2002. So they will come. Yep, John, it's all going digital, but it won't be because they will be coming.
Just like the Topher.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got to look forward to. The 4Ks, they'll be remastering them pretty soon. They haven't been, remastering them and put them on Blu-ray discs, 4K Blu-ray discs. You can get them, I believe. I think Amazon have bought the rights. Well, bought MGM or whatever, so they've been putting something out there. But I don't want to promote Amazon too much, but whatever. So that's where we're at with that. Anyway, like I said, the Daniel Craig ones, you can get them in 4K. One thing I thought of was cinema memories, because I always obviously seen all the films in my age-appropriate lifetime. Since GoldenEye onwards in 95, I've seen all of them in the cinema.
I can't remember if I saw GoldenEye. I mean, I know I would have seen it when it came out on home release.
Yeah.
I can't think if I actually saw it in the cinema or not. I'm too hazy on that. I remember, what was it you, me and Buff tried to see? And it was like it fucked
Well,
up somehow because we got there and we either wasn't on or the time had been completely wrong. So we ended up having to come all the way back and like, right, is it on anywhere else?
yeah, it was The World Is Not Enough. Yeah, we'd gone over to Leeds after I'd finished work one time, and then this was before the internet was a reliable source. This was like 99. And
Has the internet ever been a reliable source with fucking Cineworld? But anyway.
yeah, well, it was pre-Cineworld, I think this. It would have been the Odeon in Leeds. It was that long ago, but yeah, that was that. So I know we were going to go see that. We ended up going to see Die Another Day. I seem to remember that was a balls up as well, but separate. We don't need to get into that because I don't think anybody's going to be interested.
Like the first 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, and that was a Cineworld screw up, but I don't think anyone's going to be too interested in that story.
I know, just cinema memories. Let's say that those are my major Bond related memories.
Yeah. Did you see No Time to Die? Have you seen that yet?
I haven't got around to it. It's on streaming, but I can't be bothered.
Yeah, give it a watch when you get a chance. You'll enjoy it. Some people are a bit disappointed with certain aspects of it, but I thought it was good. It was in keeping with what I believe Bond to be from the books of the movies and so on. There's a bit of everything in there. So yes, like I said, cinema memories. I know me and the Buff, we did go to see From Russia with Love when it got a cinema re-release. That was interesting. I think some of the cinemas have been showing the older films. Well, all of them, from what I understand, some cinemas have been showing them leading up to the anniversary.
Well, I know that was definitely a thing during, like, when they just started to finally reopen after the lockdown.
Yeah.
Like, kind of redoing old films.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea, really, because, I mean, we're technically still in the drought, but you know what I mean? Like, where there wasn't the same...
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like, availability of things. So, it kind of made sense to re-release some old stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, those are my kind of cinema memories, just kind of from the mid-90s onwards. But it would have been great to have been around back in the day, going to see these movies. It would have been interesting to look back through that lens, going to see the ones in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I can remember the latter ones of the 80s coming out, but I was very young at the time, so I never got to see them. One thing that is interesting looking back is the old James Bond International fan club, the JBIFC. I think that started in '79 from memory, and it lasted up until around about the early 2000s when obviously the internet kind of took away the kind of stuff that you'd get from fan clubs, like newsletters, magazines, all this kind of stuff. Fan clubs kind of fed that hunger for more.
The old days when you had to wait, like, what, days for it to finish downloading, like, a trailer, or you deliberately go and like get something else just because it's got the trailer on for the new.
Yeah, going to the cinema to see the trailer. Yeah, but yeah, so the Bond fan club, like I say, was really cool, kind of pre-internet era, and you got like physical magazines and stuff. I do have the old gold card that I had. It was when I joined that in like '97, I think it was. It's like £50 for a year. I think silver was like 75. You got like a badge and other stuff as well. It was really cool. I showed that in the last video I did 2 years ago. But yeah, that was something. But what is interesting, because it was the fan club, and as a member of the fan club, you got the 007 magazine, which Graham Rye was I think he was like the editor of it or whatever. And he's still going. The magazine still exists. You can get old editions, like omnibus packages. Are really nice, very good. Shout out to him, because he's, as a professional James Bond fan, he's still out there. He's still doing stuff, and he's still running like social media and things like that. And you can physically buy stuff as well if you go to the website. I think it's like 007 magazine or whatever is the name of the website. I can't remember the exact address. But I bought some stuff from him a couple of years ago, and I wasn't disappointed. But what is interesting is Graham Rye has actually been saying stuff about this. What I spoke about, was it last week on this channel, about we're talking about making 007 more sensitive. And he had some like pretty on point things to say about that. If you check him out on his Facebook page or on YouTube or whatever, I think he called into some talk show and said, I'm Graham Rye, I do the official, not official, but the 007 magazine. And he wrote a book, I think it's like James Bond Girls or something. So he knows his stuff, he knows what he's talking about as a fan. And he was saying this sounds a bit crap, to be honest, this thing about sensitive 007. So check him out.
Also, like, presupposes, right? He was a heartless bastard, like every other film you've seen him in. It's like, was he?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a bit of the bastard in him in some of the iterations of Bond, but I wouldn't say it was like a defining trait or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was it.
I mean, remembering scenes like him cradling his dead wife and crying and like, no, she's going to be all right. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, or like absolutely losing his shit to avenge what's her name in what the hell was her name from Casino Royale?
Vesper Lynn. Yeah.
It's like, he obviously had feelings that, he wasn't just like, yep, shagged her, didn't care afterwards because I'm like, a misogynistic bastard. It's like, well, he's not really, is he?
Yeah. Or Jill Masterson in Goldfinger, the one that gets covered in Topher's white paint, gold paint. And he basically is like almost revenge fueled at the beginning of that film, at least. Anyway, so yeah, that's a good point that you make. But anyway, moving on, because I've got loads of points. We might have to cut this video down in like a few different videos, to be honest, because there's so much stuff. But another shout out anyway.
There's a couple of things I'm always trying to teach you, 007. Never catch them. You can never catch you stealing, and never let them see you jize. Oh wait, no, it was Topher that taught me that. Damn it.
Well, yeah, we can keep that. That's good. Any Topher jokes are fair game.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of like professional fans and so on, some good YouTube channels that I wrote down. There's the Dutch Bond, I can't remember it's called now. The Dutch 007 fan or whatever he's called. Really good channel anyway. He's kind of anti-woke as well, which is cool because he says it how it is. So I like him. Dutch Bond fan, I think that's what he's called. He's been around for years. Really good channel. Calvin Dyson of the James Bond whatever channel. I think these channels changed name a few times, but if you look him up, I think it was like Calvin Bond fan or something he used to be called. But yeah, Calvin Dyson. I think he's from Leeds area. Actually, it's not too far away from us. But he's got a good channel as well, very good channel. And the James Bond Experience, I think it is as well, which is more about fashion. Well, it's not more about that, but it's got a lot of the sort of fashion stuff as well. I think he's an American or Canadian guy. That's a good channel as well. But yeah, the one point I wanted to make, the James Bond fan base is pretty cool in my experience. Being a fan of multiple franchises over the years, not so much now, but things like Marvel and Star Wars had a very toxic side to them. Whereas I tend to find with the James Bond fan arena, does tend to be a bit more mature and a bit more has its feet on the ground. It hasn't been kind of taken over by the wokies yet, like we've seen with Marvel and Star Wars.
I was going to say that'll change. Once they start fan baiting and it's all racism, and you just want to see Bond hitting women like he did back in the 60s.
Yeah,
seriously,
exactly.
Yourselves.
But for now, it doesn't have that vibe to it. It's quite a good fan base to be a part of, and it's nothing to be ashamed of being a James Bond fan. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so what else have I got? Talking about merchandise and stuff. I'll just go through some of the pointers that made. So Adam Earnshaw wanted to say maybe a cheeky shout out to George Lazenby. Not a good Bond, but the only single termer in 60 years. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be anybody's favourite, but people have mixed feelings. You're not a fan.
We literally just mentioned one of his scenes. So.
Yeah, and it was funny. I got a like from him on social media once a few years ago because he'd gone to the location in Switzerland where they filmed on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and it was the 50th anniversary, so it would have been 2019, and he taken some photographs of the inside of Piz Gloria. That's the thing at the top of the mountain, and I'd commented saying that rail in the background looks familiar because I recognised it because there's a bit in the film where somebody gets thrown through it. It's quite a distinctive looking rail. And I actually got a like from George Lazenby with that comment, so that was pretty cool. So yeah. A few other things as well. Let's bullet point this. That's really quick. See what we can do. So who sent this? This is from Paul. So he's asking like favorite villain. To me, I think I'd probably go with Goldfinger just because he had a bit of everything. He seemed really dangerous in terms of like his plans and stuff, but at the same time he was kind of goofy and funny. And the name of the film is Goldfinger. It's he's like larger than life. There's so many good ones. I did like Christatos in For Your Eyes Only, played by Julian Glover. I've actually met him and had a bit of a chat at Comic-Con about his character. I got his autograph and got a photograph with him. And I've chatted with him for a couple of minutes. He wasn't just like a high-end goodbye, a really nice guy. He was a good villain because he felt kind of grounded. But I do like Goldfinger because I think he was larger than life. What about yourself? Any thoughts, Cole?
I don't know. Whenever anybody asks me like for favorite villain, my mind always goes to like henchman for some reason. Like, I don't know why my brain does that, but I mean at that point it's got to be Jawas.
Jaws, yeah, good. Well, yeah, I'd say that's a valid answer. We'll count him as a villain. Yeah, he came back. He was in 2 films, and again he was larger than life. Good answer. Favorite gadget? That's kind of a tough one, isn't it? Bloody hell! I like the watch.
The car.
Well, yeah, any of the cars. Yeah, the Aston Martin. Yeah, and that's,
I mean that thing's been through so many different iterations. I'd be hard to pin down like one specific like. Yep, this was the best one, but like the car.
Yeah. The watch that he has in Live and Let Die, where the dial kind of like rotates and it's a sword. It's also like a magnet and stuff, and it has all sorts of little things in there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, don't you have a laser watch at one point to like cut through shit as well?
Yeah, I mean GoldenEye. I remember that. And a similar watch in Octopussy as well. I think what we'll do is we'll just stop recording because it's going to be a long video. It's going to take ages to edit, and then what we'll do is we'll do a second part to this and maybe spread these out over a few nights because there's going to be a lot of viewing here. So we'll say this starts with obviously the anniversary and we'll come back later. So I'll just stop recording and then we'll record the next bit. Yeah. I'll do an outro after this. So yeah, whatever.
So part 2 of this video is available now. I'm not going to do any fancy editing on that, so it's just going to be a raw video, but it is available now on the channel if you want to check that out. Thank you very much.